It's the Locked On Flyers podcast for Monday, December 2nd. Your daily dose of Flyers news, analysis, and high quality content that is so not shocked that the Flyers ended November on another overtime game.
It's just the way it goes.
Your Locked On Flyers, your daily podcast on the Philadelphia Flyers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey there, and thanks for making Locked On Flyers your first listen every day. I am Rachel Donner. I've been podcasting about the Flyers, the NHL, and hockey for a decade. I'm here with prospect expert and Flyers credentialed reporter for 19 years, Russ Cohen. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. And to keep up with our latest episodes and Flyers news, you can find us at Locked On Flyers on all your favorite socials, including Blue Sky, and of course here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Russ, once again, an overtime game in the month of November. It was the 8th one of the month, if you can believe it.
It's hard to
And
believe.
for the third time, Matvei Michkov ends it with the game-winning goal. Just a remarkable month for Matvei Michkov.
Yeah, it's been fun for him, and that's that's definitely his strength right now is when they get to overtime, but it's like not a sustainable thing. Like this is just I look at this and I say, yeah, it's happening and it's good that they're winning these, but this is like a razor thin margin. But as far as Michkov, he's a real weapon in overtime. That'll never change.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I think that Travis Konechny, obviously that play to get him the puck in overtime was tremendous. Looking at it was just like twofold, right? Because you look at Thomas coming in, he really thought he had TK beat because he like
Yeah,
lifted his stick to let the
yeah,
puck go by, and Konechny just gets his stick in there in that split second. And
yeah.
I think Thomas must have been shocked
I
that
think
he did
so.
not have the puck at the other end of that play because it really was a good move on his
It
part.
was.
But nope, TK, like, from the ice, gets Michkov the puck, and then it was
Yep.
off to the races, and given how Binnington was playing in that game, that goal was, like, by no means a guarantee.
No, no, no. Actually, Bennington played it about as well as a goalie could play it. Like he
Yeah.
played that strong. Like that was no, that was a great goal.
Yeah, and just the way he lifted it slightly over
Yep.
Bennington's pad
Yeah.
there, like,
Yeah.
just perfect placement. So,
Yeah.
I
No
think
doubt.
all around by both guys, it was just a tremendous play. I'm sure Travis Konechny felt good and a little bit of redemption because he took that penalty at the end of regulation, right? Which was not a good penalty. Now, it was not really a penalty. I mean, I think it was oversold, but it
It
is
is
what
what
it
it is.
is, right?
Yeah. It's just it puts the team in a bad spot, and then they did the overload, and and this is part of holding leads. They held one against the Rangers, and then the next game they didn't hold one. Now they did win it, but holding leads is a key thing still.
Right, and I think that, one of the differences is in this last stretch of games that they've played generally well in, is that, they once again prevented an opponent from getting a shot on goal, over 10 minutes into the
Hmm.
game, but they didn't play quite as well themselves
No.
offensively, and so they couldn't rack up the goals early to have a bigger lead to have to hold, right?
Right. So this is the struggle that I see. Fans are happy that it's a faster team. Well, it became a faster team because you added Andre and Grands, and you got younger, faster guys in there that we had been talking about pretty much all season long here. So that made them faster. So now they're faster, and they are able to play a little better defense because they're faster. But because the emphasis is so much on defense, it does short circuit the offense to some degree. Yeah, there are some games where they'll have more scoring chances than others, but this one, the Blues were, really trying to take those away, and I think did a really good job of that and used their physicality, and they hit them. I mean, the Flyers paid a price to win this game. There's no doubt
Sure,
about that. They got hammered.
sure. They did. Like, hits-wise, the stat was completely off the charts. I mean, St. Louis had 27 to the Flyers' 12 in
Yeah.
this game. That's a huge, huge difference there, and I think that's the strategy the Blues used to get
Yes.
back into the game, and eventually it worked.
Yeah.
But the Flyers held pretty well,
They
I
did.
think, for
But it's
a good
hard. Like
chunk of that game.
mentally, it's hard to hold that for that long of a game without having enough offense to kind of put it away. It's hard.
Right.
This is where some, again, this is where I don't think the team is ready in their development, like with the younger guys, to play this way. But John wants them to play this way, and they're getting points. So, but the point is, I think long term, it's still not the right way to do it. I just don't.
Yeah, I think there are some adjustments that have to be made, and to John Tortorella's credit, he has talked about puck control with this team, and that's something they've struggled with and need to work on. And I think, this game, it was a little better, but in combination with the zone exits from the defensive zone, that's where kind of some of the missing pieces are here because that's what hemmed them in the defensive zone for so much and allowed St. Louis to have so many additional chances is that they couldn't hold on to the puck cleanly well enough to have a controlled zone exit out of their defensive zone. It was all dumping the puck out of the zone.
Right. Right. That's a really astute point. And still 11 giveaways is 11 giveaways. Just because the Blues had more, I mean, the Blues are just trying to get on track too with a new
Right.
coach. And so it's like you still had a lot of giveaways. And luckily you were given twice as many. So part of that is part of your good defense, and then part of that is their, not being sort of in between whatever they're going to be. So I think, there's something to be said about it. And I do think they played with more discipline, so that's good. The power play still stinks, though. Like it almost is like
Yep.
they, whatever we talked about, like they should practice. That they're not going to. It's clear, and some of these guys look like they're on the power play and they don't know what to do. They
Well,
all are
that's I thought
talented, but they don't know where to go and what to do.
yeah, it was interesting because I think because of the circumstances of who had just been out there, they wound up actually having to put a portion of power play 2 out there first, and that's
Right.
something we talked about as maybe a
Yes.
suggestion to do, last week, and so it was a weird hybrid of power play 1 and power play 2 that I think started it, but they just really didn't get any good quality chances, I would say, on this power play. There wasn't much time. They had 2 opportunities. The second one was terrible. The first one was
Yes.
okay, I
Right.
would
First
say.
was okay. The second one was just awful.
Right. So I think there's definitely continued work to be done there. We're now in that break. Let's see if they do anything with it in that break. I do want to talk about some other good individual performances. Owen Tippett finally gets that goal. It's
Yep.
mostly Michkov's work, but
Yeah.
give
He still
credit where
put it
credit's
in.
due. He did, yeah, yeah. And I think 8 shot attempts, 5 unblocked, 2 missed the net. I
He was
think that
better.
there's
He was better. He's not
yeah.
quite like in sync or anything. I don't think that cured him, but he was better.
Right, and, on the other side, that Cates line again with Forster and Brink, that play to get Forster's goal was just so good. Like, there was hard work from all 3 of them on that play with, Cates making a really good play along the boards to get it to Brink, Brink with a really nice move with the puck, and then Forster being Johnny on the spot with the rebound. I mean, that's the kind of thing that the
Yeah.
Flyers need to keep doing.
So then here's my question for you. Why is Kate's only playing 12 minutes a game?
Hmm. Yeah, it is. It is
That
an
makes no
interesting
sense. He had a
point.
great game. He's 9, what was he, 9 for 11 on faceoff? Why would he only play 12 minutes?
Yeah, I think that's something they need to look at is that giving this line more time
Yeah, I
overall
mean,
and
you
Kane
have to balance it
particularly.
out. I mean, there's a whole season ahead. You're at the quarter mark. Like, this guy's earned his play. Like, where is it? Where are those extra 3 minutes? He should be at
Well,
15 minutes.
Joel Farabee's getting some of that ice time. He got close, I think, a few times, but no dice. I thought his chances were a lot better in this game overall.
Okay, sure.
4 shot attempts, all unblocked, 3 on goal of the 4. he was gone a bit in the game because I think he was banged up a little bit, but
Yeah,
then came back. So, there's something to be said for that. But, I think that he's close. He's getting there. I think that
he's
there's
still
just
out of
going to
sync
be,
though. Yeah,
he's still a little bit out of sync. But on the blue line side of things, Zamula is back in this game. How do you think he looked?
he looked okay. I mean, I didn't notice him a lot, so that was good. That was one of those
Yeah.
cases where he seamlessly was in there, and that's what you want sometimes.
Right, I thought he had a couple really timely clears,
Hmm.
that I noticed, but beyond that, he just did his thing, which I think,
Right,
again, on a third pairing, that's what you gotta do,
it
right?
is.
Ristolainen had another very strong game.
Yeah, he was
I
good.
thought really, really good. No giveaways for him the
Yeah,
whole game. Emil Andre continues to make extremely smart plays,
smart
just
player.
the choice
Yeah,
of it. Yeah, there was this one play where, a Blues player was skating in to kinda meet up with him,
yeah,
and I think another defenseman would have tried to play the puck and it would have risked the opposing player taking the puck away and getting a really good opportunity, but all he did was use his body to prevent that guy from even getting to the puck. He didn't try to get the puck himself, and
right.
it scooted out. Owen Tippett took the puck and skated up, and I just thought that was a really smart play on his
Yeah.
part.
Yeah, he makes great decisions. I mean, that's part of the reason he's going to be there all year because uh, the game has slowed down for him. Like you could see it. The one
Yeah.
thing teams are kind of getting wise to, and I think he's going to have to adjust. Travis Sanheim's starting to get hammered a lot. He really got hammered in this game because he's kind of like fearless with the puck offensively now, trying to cut across the middle and do things and make plays and, you know, going down deep and in the corners. And boy, he got hammered by the back glass once that one time. I don't remember who got him, but also we saw like in the Ranger game, VC kind of stepped up and negated his offense in the middle. Like he's
Mhm.
going to have to reel that back in. His defense is great. His defense has been the best it's been all his whole career. And while the offense has been the best off to the best start of his career, teams are now looking at it like, okay, we could do something about this and not give him that part of the ice. And that's where he's going to have to adjust.
Well, we're going to talk more about Travis Sandheim in the next segment when we kind of look at our top players and how they match up as a benchmark against the top guys around the rest of the NHL. Plus, we're going to talk about Aleksei Kolosov's performance in the St. Louis game. All of that coming up next.
Get ready to tackle NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5, get 150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just bet the Kansas City Chiefs. They just don't lose. It doesn't matter how ugly they win. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with 150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
Some of the best events of the year take place around the holidays, and there's so many of them to choose from. Gametime has a new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Gametime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And my favorite part of the Gametime app is that it's great for getting notified about last minute flash deals, and they have super deals, so you know you're getting the best bang for your buck. Best of all, they have all in pricing, so there's no surprise fees at checkout when you activate the feature, and tickets are sent directly to your phone so you never have to dig through email. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem with the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. On tomorrow's show, we will give our Four Nations tournament roster predictions, as well as look at the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, who have had a pretty good weekend this week. So excited to talk about them. Plus, we'll be answering your mailbag questions on our Wednesday show. So get those in. You can email us at lockedonflyers@gmail.com, send us a message on any of our socials, or comment on our YouTube channel. Real quickly, we've been talking about David Jiricek, and they finally pulled the trigger in Columbus. He's now on the Minnesota Wild. And Columbus received in return Damon Hunt, a first round pick in 2025, third and fourth round picks in 2026, and a second round pick in 2027. That's a little bit of a haul there.
Yeah, it's a good value. I know Flyers fans were like, well, we could have done this. Well, they may not have wanted to trade in division. So,
Yeah.
unless Danny Briere
Or
talks
ask for
about it.
more in division, right?
Right. So unless Danny Briere talks about it, we're not going to really know. So I'll give the benefit of the doubt to the Flyers on that one, that maybe Columbus didn't want to go in division. But as far as for what Columbus got, that was a good haul. They did get a first round pick this year. That's good. So that gives them chance to sort of restock that position. Hunt is, like an NHL depth defenseman. That's fine. He's
Right.
trending towards that. So at least you got somebody who's definitely going to help your AHL team to fill the spot that Jiricek leaves, and because he was doing well there, and also now maybe a guy who you could call up at times. So that said, and they gave up a fifth, Columbus, right? So it was fine. That was good. For Minnesota, it's great because they're going to do
sense for them.
Yeah, because again, I give Bill Guerin a lot of credit. Like they're punching above their weight right now. They got Brock Faber somehow. That still freaked me out that they were able to get Brock Faber in a deal. And now they get a guy like Jiricek that really could really be something for them if they just are patient. And they will be. For all the talk there was with Minnesota with that dead cap space, look what they've done. They've gotten young players in there, but not just young players, like difference makers. Like Faber, or instantly became a top 20 defenseman for them in the league. And if Jiricek does that, look what that's going to do for them long term. So, that's something. So I give them credit. I think this was a big move for them.
Looking at Aleksei Kolosov's play in the St. Louis game, man, he has just made such tremendous progress. And you look at his last 3 games, all of which were wins here. 25 saves, 27 shots. Neither goal was really his fault entirely. And I think, that is really good. But you look at his stats, he's above 900 in his
Which is
last
good.
3 games. Yeah. Yeah, which is really, really good and an excellent improvement. And I think that, that's all they can ask from him. And, there's going to be a tough decision to be made. We're going to talk about that when we find out Sam Erson's status. He did go on the road trip. Obviously
Right.
wasn't going to play, but, it seems like he's getting closer. So we'll see. Probably, I would guess Tuesday, there's going to be some sort of decision made around that.
Yeah, Sam probably got some of that toasted ravioli in the press box. That's good stuff. But I will say this. To me, it's an easy decision. Like, Kolosov has to go down. Not because of his play. His physical strength isn't there. Like, Fedotov's a much bigger, stronger guy. And you saw on that last goal, like with that overload, he's just not ready for that. He didn't face anything like that in the KHL with all these players in his kitchen like that. And just the way that the Blues poured it on at the end of the game, he is not used to that. And you saw when he was down, he stayed down for a minute before he got back up because he was tired. And if that
Right,
game had
no.
gone to a shootout, that may have shown like how tired he was. So it was good the Flyers didn't have that happen. So that's where he has to develop. He has to get physically stronger.
Right, and with Fedotov, sometimes he can't get up, but that's just because he's a giant
He's
and
a
it takes
big
him
guy.
a while.
I mean,
Right.
it's a 6'7" guy trying to get up. That's a whole different. That's like a tree falling.
Yeah, so looking at some of the Flyers players matched up against the rest of the NHL, just, you take our top forward, our top defenseman, which
Right.
are the Travi, right? And then our top
Yep.
rookie, which is obviously Michkov, right?
Yeah.
And Travis Konechny last year was 61st at the end of the season in scoring. Right now, he's sitting at 15th in scoring and 14th in goals, which obviously early goings in the season,
Right.
but still, like, that is much, much different in terms of at least having a flyer in that top group of players. Obviously, he's not top 10. He's not going to be top
No,
10.
no.
But like to be in around 15, honestly, excellent for him to start the season.
Yeah, he's off to a great start. I think he could do better than 61st, but probably some of this is due to durability too. Like he gets hammered. And so he is still producing, which is great. But even in that game, you saw where there was, he got beat a few times as far as just being hit. So
Right.
I think the accumulation of that is what ends up dropping him in the standings and everything else. So yeah, he probably could end up like 35 or 40, and that would be really good.
Yeah, definitely an improvement. And I think, but where he is now is kind of what's keeping him in
Yes.
the Four Nations
On the
conversation.
periphery of that conversation, I would say.
Yeah, we'll get more into that tomorrow. But Travis Sanheim also been in the Four Nations conversation, a little less so though, because the blue
Yeah.
line is really stacked for Team Canada already. But 5 goals, 10 assists for 15 points. He's 22nd in NHL defenseman in scoring, which honestly for him is pretty tremendous, I have to say, just because he can push offensively, but that's not necessarily what he does over the
Right.
course of the game a lot. He'll have a game here and there where he's just on a roll and just, pushes forward and skates in a lot in a game, but he's a defensive zone start guy for
Yeah.
the Flyers. And if you look at the top point getters for NHL defensemen, he is by far the first guy on the list in that ranked list of points with less than 10% of offensive zone starts. He only has 8 point something percent offensive zone starts. Now he has a lot of like starts on the fly, as
Right.
everybody does, but
Yes.
he has a tremendous number of defensive zone starts, and to have that level of scoring, I think is pretty impressive.
It is. The thing that's probably going to hurt him with Team Canada is he dynamic offensively or is he dynamic defensively? He's really good at both. But
Yeah,
but when you're building a team like that, it's kind of like, okay, where do you use him? And I think that's where he
right.
kind of like maybe loses it with the voting. Like he's in the conversation, but I think it's hard to find that spot where it's like, you know, that's where
Well,
he is better than everybody else. I don't think he's quite there.
and Hockey Canada wants you to do one thing well. That's something that they've always done. They have like roles and they want you
Yes.
to fill them. And I think other teams have more of a we need you to fill one primary role and 2 secondary roles kind
Right.
of approach, right? So I think that's part of it too. But Sanheim is tied with Jacob Slavin for the top of the NHL in takeaways right
Mhm.
now. Really solid. He's got 8 penalties drawn. He's finally not in the top spot on ice time overall. Roman Yossi has taken that over. But you see that in teams with only one really good defenseman that they get all the ice time. So you would expect that for Yossi. But I think it's an interesting conversation to have, but I think Travis Sanheim is looking really good in the big picture of the NHL right now.
Yeah, he's having a really good year. We all knew he could develop into something more. Uh, he's never going to be that power play guy. Like that was initially a thought maybe when he was
Right.
drafted. That's not going to
And he
happen.
can do it, but it's not
It's
something
just
you
not
want
his
him to do
thing.
all the time. Yeah.
No, and with everything else that he's become very valuable at, and that's fine. Like this is what he's turned into, and this is good.
Yeah, and then, of course, Matvei Michkov in the rookie category leads the league in rookie points right now with
Yeah.
19. And now Logan Stankoven is day to day. He just was out for a game. We'll see what happens there. Celebrini has fewer games because of the injury, but Celebrini also gets more minutes per game, like over like 2.5 minutes more
Yeah.
per game on average. So that'll kind of even out eventually. And then there's the will Lane Hudson ever get a goal conversation that's happening in Montreal. But Michkov is chugging along, and I believe he'll stay in the Calder conversation all season long.
He will. Celebrini's no question making gains to catch him.
Yeah,
He is really hot, and remember there was that struggle for me, like with Dustin Wolf. He is still rookie eligible, and he's got a 918 save percentage. So right now, he may be the leader.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
So because
But,
right now, Calgary, he's 8-4-1 with a 918. Like that's something.
That's pretty good.
So we have to be objective and say that.
Yes, that is true. But looking at the skaters, I feel like, he's definitely in the thick of it.
Oh, he's
Right.
in the thick of it, no question.
It is Monday, so we will be giving our Nemesis of the week coming up next. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money, sports action. Join over 10 million users and sign up today. PrizePicks is the best way to win real money this NHL season. Which players are going off, which ones aren't. You can make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on PrizePicks. And you can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. PrizePicks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. And PrizePicks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When picks hit, you can get your money in as quick as 15 minutes. Download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNHL on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. PrizePicks, run your game. So our nemesis this week. Last week, I talked about surviving the holiday season in general, but also for the Flyers surviving the holiday season because there was a lot of back-to-backs. There was a lot of difficult opponents on the schedule coming up. That still remains true right now. And, I mentioned the Four Nations tournament already, and we're going to talk about it more tomorrow. But my nemesis this week is, do I care or do I not about this tournament? Because it's like,
I think you'll
in a lot,
care after the selection show. That's my belief, is that that's when people will
well,
care, because then there's gonna be that show, and then you're gonna find out if some of the people you think should be on it are on it, and then you'll have more of an interest, I think.
Well, but here's the question, and this is why this was my nemesis this week. I absolutely know I care about Flyers making the rosters. I think it's really cool and really important to show growth for the Flyers that they're in consideration and making these rosters in a quote unquote all-star type situation, right? So I
Right.
care about that. Do I care about the tournament itself? I don't know. I don't know that I care who actually wins when it all comes out. Now, when they drop the puck, could that change? 100%. But yeah, I still am struggling, with the do I actually care about this tournament?
No, that's fair. I get it. So mine's gonna be an existential one. So there's a good series on right now called Landman, and it deals with the oil industry and Billy Bob Thornton, and it's a Taylor Sheridan series, and it's good. It's really well acted. I get the Texas vibes because I lived out there for a little while, and so maybe not in Dallas, but in Houston. So but I know the mentality, and it's fun. But they did go on one little rant like oil's in everything, and it's true. If you start looking at things, oil, plastic, what makes it, it's all in everything, and it kind of like really does make you think. So like as an example, like I do like Billy, if you watch this rant by Billy Bob Thornton, he's like, it's in your sunscreen, it's in your this, it's in, like parabens and all that. I try and do all that and buy stuff that doesn't have that and everything, but that doesn't stop everything. So it's like my nemesis is they pointed out all the pluses and minuses of why you want to do good things and then you can't stop this, meaning the oil industry. And it's just like, it drives you crazy, or at least it drives me crazy, because it's like, I do all these other good things, but there's this whole, and one of the things that they pointed out, and this is a little bit of a spoiler, but it's okay. Like the wind turbines, they say are running some of the oil wells where there's places where there's no grid. Just think about the
Yep.
ironic nature of that.
Yep.
Head exploded. This is why these are big questions for people smarter than me.
Yeah. Yeah. It is true that oil is in a lot of places that you might not think that it is. And it's yeah, a lot of big existential questions about consumption, especially
Yep.
around the holidays.
Oh
That
yeah.
always makes you think about it a little bit more as well. But a very interesting thought. That will do it for today's show. Thanks so much for listening. We'll be back tomorrow with those Four Nations predictions and Phantoms Tuesday. As a reminder, we always want to hear from you. You can send in your questions or Flyers thoughts on any of our socials at Locked On Flyers. You can email us at lockedonflyers@gmail or comment on our YouTube channel. I'm Rachel. I'm on Blue Sky and Twitter at rmiriam. That's RMIRIAM.
I'm Russ, and I'm on those same socials at Sportsology, SPORTSOLOGY.
Thanks for making Locked On Flyers your first listen today. For your next listen, find Locked On Fantasy Hockey. Become a fantasy hockey expert. Get the edge over your league mates with daily tips from Steal and Flip. Find Locked On Fantasy Hockey on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Have a great day, everyone.